Mario is like a father. He taught me how to read, paint, and even type for some reason. But without a doubt, the most important impact he had on me is that he taught me how to jump. My first game of his was New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Even though I had a little attachment to this title, I have to give it credit for being a great entry point for the platforming genre. It taught me the basics of platforming with obstacles and power-ups aplenty. But that was when I was young. Where am I now? I now like to try and experience different types of games, whether it be a run and gun like Cuphead, or an open world game like Breath of the Wild, or maybe even a lucid dream I had one time. Platforming was the genre that got me into gaming. If it weren't for New Super Mario Bros. Wii, I might not have been a disappointment. But I had a Wii at the time, so where did I go after that? Probably a list. I never thought of myself as a gamer until a couple of years back, so I hadn't learned the error of my ways yet. I never searched for any games that interested me, even if I heard of its acclaim. But around 2016, I started to become more conscious of my decisions when making purchases. So the first thing I did was waste my money, and then I wasted my time. I started collecting more in consoles and games because of my growing interest in the gaming landscape. In the past few years of collecting, I've gone from owning about 50 games or so to owning around 300. It's far from the most impressive collection I've seen, but I feel that I worked quite hard to be this meaningless. And now that I have enough games to not matter, I think I should talk about, this one. So, before my inception, the SNES was the king of the gaming industry, pumping out games like Yoshi's Island, Super Metroid, and Super Mario World. But these were just 2D games, and the hardware was capable of much more. Using the power of lies and deception, the console was able to make pseudo 3D games like F-Zero, Donkey Kong Country, and Pilot Wings. But the SNES still wasn't a fully 3D system. But what if there was a system that was designed specifically for making 3D games? So Nintendo set out to do just that. In the early 1990s, Nintendo partnered with Silicon Graphics to make what would become the Nintendo 64. Even though the Nintendo 64 took a while to exist, it released on September 29th in 1996 2 games in North America, Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings 64. I'll let you guess which one was more groundbreaking. Super Mario 64 is a game cherished by many, but I didn't grow up with it, because I'm a minor. I only recently got this rectangle, and my first game for the system was Hey You Pikachu. The Super Mario 64 being the first one I actually played. But before I had Super Mario 64, I had Super Mario 64 DS. This does not feel right. I never got into the game, mostly due to the limitations of the DS hardware. Controlling this game with a D-pad felt kinda clunky, and playing it using a 3DS circle pad doesn't clear the issues because the game was designed with the D-pad in mind. So I later picked up the game on the N64 to get the authentic experience of playing on a piece of irrelevancy. So I blew into the cartridge and braced for impact.
It's me, Mario! Hello!
Well, that wasn't so bad. Ah! Ah! So the game opens up with Mario jumping out of a warp pipe after being invited by Princess Toadstool because she baked a cake for us. And soon after, abduction. And go get the Power Stars. The plot of the game is just as basic as most Mario games, and I don't see much of a problem there. The reason I play a Mario game isn't for the plot, it's for the gameplay. Super Mario 64 is mainly known for bringing another direction to Mario games. Now the levels weren't just a 2D plane, they were levels that were meant to be explored. An example of this exploration would be the hub world of the game, Peach's Castle, and I think it might just be one of the greatest hub worlds ever constructed. It has it all, paintings, secrets, and even Satan, the whole shebang. It always felt fun just to jump around the castle's hallways, seeing if there was a painting or hidden level around the corner. The levels go for a mission-based structure instead of a linear one, with each having 6 missions and a 100-coin challenge to tackle. The game evenly spreads its levels throughout the castle's first floor, basement, second floor, and third floor. The first floor contains the easy levels, overall nothing where I'd have to get my brother to do it for me. The basement holds quite a few challenges, but it still isn't too hard to handle. The second floor increases the difficulty a bit, but not in a way that makes you die more. It more so changes the complexity of levels. Now the third floor... But there aren't that many levels in the game, so I might as well quickly talk about them all. Bob-omb Battlefield is an incredible opening area with plenty of platforming and exploration. One complaint though is that the stars here are some of the most basic in the game. But other than that, this level leaves a great first impression for the game. Womp's Fortress is overrated. Don't worry, I can hear you, angry mob. I think this level is one of the better ones in the game, but it doesn't have that much meat on its bones. Even though all the stars are fun, it's taken up by a lot of filler, like fall onto the caged island or blast away the wall, which can be completed in less than a minute if you know what you're doing. I know that it must have been a lot of fun discovering these secrets for the first time, but in a replayable game such as this, they feel a bit out of place. Jolly Roger Bay is a great area to explore and swim in, but it has the same problems that Womp's Fortress does. Some of the stars are just pure filler, and some of the stars just blend into each other. Like the fact that there are 2 chest stars, with the second one being way more boring than the first. Cool Cool Mountain might just be the best level in this entire game. It barely has any filler, and all of the stars have a purpose and are fun to obtain. Almost every star in here is unique, and it makes the level more funner as a result. Big Boo Haunt is a great ghost house stage. It has a great atmosphere that makes it feel a bit dreadful and dreary while still feeling like a Mario game. The stars are all unique, but I do have to admit that they're pretty basic considering the potential of a haunted house. Hazy Maze Cave. What do you want me to say? It isn't good, and that's being nice. The small size of the pathways get claustrophobic pretty often, and when the area is decently sized, it's either water, a giant hole, or Lethal Lava Land might be dangerous. But so is a vending machine. There's lava everywhere, and even though that sounds like a negative, jumping on a green shell allows for smooth sailing across it, which is a joy to experience. No star here feels out of place. Except a coin puzzle with 15 puzzle pieces. That one was pretty stupid. Shifting Sandland is... Dire Docks is a submarine, but the level is smaller than a pencil. Oh. Even though the level is small in size, there's quite a bit of creativity in the stars. The red coin star has you swinging across metal poles, and also there's this other chest star. Okay, where do I sign? Snowman's Land. No. What Dry World? I like this one. Switching between the different water levels is just a great concept, and I think the level did a fine enough job executing it. I like the city too, has an aura of eeriness surrounding it, and the red coin star is one of my favorites in the game. But one thing I don't like about the level is the location. I happen to level, look at the sky, and go, where am I? Tall Mountain. It does live up to the name, but I've been on taller. The stars here aren't the greatest, but they aren't bad either. None of them just stick out, which is probably why I have a hard time remembering this level exists. Tiny Huge Island is pretty good. Most of the stars take advantage of the gimmick of growing large and small. I don't really have a problem with this stage and anything about it, so it gets a pass from me. Tick-Tock Clock isn't a good level, but as for Rainbow Ride, the last level in the game, let me show you what it has to offer. And that's about it. So the game's normal levels are hit or miss, but what about the Bowser levels? These were more in line with what Super Mario 64 was going to be, obstacle courses that were similar in design with standard 2D Mario games. But this was eventually scrapped for fewer but larger levels because it was easier to develop for, and the Nintendo 64 cartridges couldn't hold chicken scratch. The quality of these levels ranged from to okay to ooh, but the levels are just the meat of the game. What else does it have? If you couldn't tell, this was the first 3D Mario game, but that shouldn't be a detriment to its quality. Most of the missions are at least fun, and just running around most of the locations is a blast. Most platforms I play today don't come close to the amount of fun I have doing absolutely nothing in this game. It might have aged a bit, but the game is still wildly fun to mess around in and control. And speaking of controls, I could talk more about the controls, but I hate this controller, so I won't. This game defined an entirely new genre, and still has a scene impact on collectathons today. Its direct follow-up, Super Mario Sunshine, takes a lot from this game, and also manages to have the same general positives as it. Even later games on the Nintendo 64, like Banjo-Kazooie or Donkey Kong 64, would take after the genre that Super Mario 64 laid the groundwork for. And while the 3D Mario series would go on to change in many different ways, Super Mario 64 could always be referred to as the textbook example of what a collectathon could be. But you know, even after such a great and relaxing game, I still have a tingling feeling that I need to get something off my chest. Wait a minute. Well, that explains it.